I think Toolbox decks are some of the most interesting and fun to play decks in Commander, and it's sad that not many people even know about the archetype. This isn't a theme that's going to show up on EDH Rec's list of themes. So what is a Toolbox deck? Well, like an actual toolbox, it's a deck that is full of different tools that help you fix different problems. Before I explain more about how to make one of these decks, if you like videos like this, consider subscribing. Thanks. Now, the crux of a toolbox deck is tutors, cards that search your deck for other cards. And before I go any further, I need to make a disclaimer here. Every time I mention a card that searches another card in any of my videos, I always get comments talking about how tutors ruin the game because they make every single game the same. But this is totally false. It's only true if you tutor for the same combo every single game and nobody ever plays any removal to stop your combo. Then yeah, I guess those games are the same, but either your opponents can just open their eyes and watch you tutor for your combo piece and then use removal. If you see someone enlighten tutor for Ashnod's Altar, don't tap out to play some random card, hold up artifact removal. And if you don't run combos, then how do tutors make every game the same? Since you're not going to be searching for combo pieces, nobody is forcing you to play combo finishers. You can just not run them if you don't want to. So tutoring without obvious combo finishers that apparently your opponents let you play for free all the time won't make the game feel the same every time, because each time you tutor, you need to look at the board and what your opponents have going on and assess the situation to find the correct piece each time. Alright, now that that is out of the way, let's talk about a toolbox deck. How do you build one? Well, you need to build a repeatable way to search for specific answers, essentially constructing the toolbox that you're going to use to find all the tools. So first, you need the tutoring engine. Let's look at the commander Rocco Cabaretti Caretaker. Rocco is Naya and X for a 3/1 elf druid. When Rocco enters the battlefield, if you cast it, you may search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. This commander is perfect for a toolbox deck. He allows you to find so many creatures easily. One of the best ones and first ones you want to grab is Temur Sabertooth. This creature lets you easily bounce your other creatures back to your hand, and it protects itself. The cat can bounce Rocco to your hand, and then you can recast your commander from your hand over and over to search up whatever card you need. We also want to fill the deck up with other tutors, so you don't need to rely on your commander too much. Fierce Empath and Woodland Bellower are some of my favorites. The Bellower can find Empath, Empath can find the Bellower, and between the two of them, they can tutor up most creatures. And since you're in Naya colors, you can use Imperial Recruiter or Recruiter of the Guard as well. This is the engine that the Sabertooth can bounce over and over again to reuse all these ETB triggers to search up different cards. So that's the toolbox itself. This is how we get our tools. So what do some of these tools look like? You can use Eternal Witness or Sun Titan to get things back from the graveyard. You can also use removal like Reclamation Sage or Skyclave Apparition. You can get card draw from Regal Force, or more specific things. Does your opponent lean heavily on their commander? Grab a Dranith Magistrate. Collector Oof to shut down artifact decks. Endurance to shuffle away big graveyards, or Lion Sash to exile graveyards. Vexing Shusher and Grand Abolisher can help you get past pesky control decks. Selfless Spirit if you think a board wipe is coming. And blink effects like Felidar Guardian let you reuse an ETB. If you've already searched up your Endurance, but you want to shuffle a graveyard in again, that's when you would grab your Felidar Guardian to reuse it. And lastly, be sure to include some finishers. Of course, if you want to power up your deck, combos can be a great way to give you fast, efficient finishers. So Dockside Extortionist combos with the Sabertooth, or if you want to finish with damage, creatures like Moonshaker Cavalry can buff your entire board to knock a player out, or maybe Perforos, since you're going to be blinking and bouncing things to hand all the time, you'll eventually just burn everyone out of the game. A good toolbox deck has many versatile tools it can use, and a good pilot is able to search up what they need most at the right time. The power of these decks really comes down to how deep your toolbox is and if you really covered all your bases. So it takes some real thinking in the deck building stage and probably a lot of testing. Here's another example of a Toolbox deck. Kellen the Fey-Blooded is a pretty neat commander. On his face, he is a 2/2 with double strike that buffs your creatures for each aura or equipment attached to him. But also, he has the adventure side, which lets you search your library for an aura or equipment and put it in your hand. Now, of course, you could just cast that and then cast the creature and then bounce him back to your hand repeatedly to keep using that effect. Or you could grab one of my favorite toolboxes, Sunforger. This is an amazing equipment. 3 mana, equip 3, the equipped creature gets +4/+0. But most importantly, you can pay red-white to unattach the Sunforger and search your library for a red or white instant with converted mana cost 4 or less and cast it for free. With the Sunforger, you want to play cards that let you equip equipment for free or at instant speed, so you can use the Sunforger multiple times or on one opponent's turn and another opponent's turn to get many cards. And then you can fill up your Sunforger deck with tons of utility instants. You can use Reprieve or Tybalt's Trickery as counter magic. Angel's Grace can stop something like a Thassa's Oracle. Redirection spells to force removal to go elsewhere, perhaps away from the Sunforger. I'm also a big fan of cards like Deflecting Palm or Comeuppance in this deck. And for higher power tables, if your playgroup is okay with it, you can play stuff like Boil if you really want to destroy a blue player. And just play any other utility instance you can think of. Sunforger is a great tutor engine and is a ton of fun to play with. Last example of a Toolbox commander I'll go into is Sidisi Undead Vizier. This commander can, on enter the battlefield, exploit. When you exploit, you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, Sidisi lets you search for any card. This commander works phenomenally well with the new Roaming Throne. Surprise, surprise, this card's very good. It's extra good with Sidisi since it doubles the exploit triggers. You have 2 exploits, and then when they sacrifice a creature, the tutor trigger happens twice for each exploit. So you actually search 4 cards after sacrificing 2 creatures, which is kind of awesome. This deck is limited to mono black, which is the main downside, but it does let you find a lot of neat cards for different situations. You're going to want Conjurer's Closet early to blink your commander and search up cards every turn. Then you want to search up something you can sacrifice repeatedly, like a Gravecrawler. With the Gravecrawler and the Closet, every turn you're going to be able to cast Gravecrawler, blink Sidisi, sack Gravecrawler, and find something new to use. I'm sure you already know black has plenty of removal and board wipes, which are great things to search up. But you also have tons of other utility. Powerful finishers for the late game, like Rise of the Dark Realms. Crypt Incursion is a great card against graveyard decks and can gain you so much life. Sudden Spoiling is able to stop certain combos dead in their tracks. Imp's Mischief can redirect a spell. Darkness is a fog in black. And No Mercy can make it really hard to attack into you. And though enchantments can be hard to deal with in mono black, cards like Invasion of Ravnica is a colorless option that's pretty decent. And there's so many other cool black utility cards you could play. Now these are only 3 options for Toolbox commanders, but there are plenty more. Yasan the Wandering Bard if you want to stick with creatures, Oswald Fiddlebender for artifacts, Zur the Enchanter for enchantments, and Sliver Overlord is kinda like a Toolbox deck since they have a sliver for everything these days. Toolbox decks are incredibly fun when you build them because you need to go deep. You will probably need to be on Scryfall and dig around to find a tool to fill a hole in your deck. And as you play the deck more and realize you might be missing certain things, you then have to fill those holes and find those tools. It's a deck for a brewer, someone who really wants to fine-tune their deck and find unique cards for unique situations. I think Toolbox decks are really unknown and should see more play. If you play a Toolbox deck, share your deck list in the comments below. And if you've never heard of a deck like this, have I convinced you to try and build one? Let me know in the comments below as well. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more.